What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nintendo Land, and we just got a brand new trailer for the new Mario Kart game for Switch 2 being called Mario Kart World, and it really does take us all over the world because there's free roam to talk about, the fact that we can drive pretty much all over the track, even off the track. There's a lot to dissect here, from the actual trailer that we got from the Switch 2 presentation, from extended gameplay from the website, and just tons of other screenshots and pictures. This is going to be a long analysis, so you're going to want to stay tuned because there's a lot to show off. But let's dive immediately into the trailer and start dissecting what we can find. Also, real quick guys, a lot of you watching are not yet subscribed, so let's see how many people we can get to subscribe from this one video. Thanks guys, and on to the analysis. The first thing I noticed pretty quickly is the fact that every character is super expressive, and we'll actually be talking about each one that we see in the trailer. But just look at Mario, for instance. He cheers, even puts his fist up in multiple different ways, winks at the camera, smiles, and just moves with different facial expressions. It's actually extremely lively this time around. Also, something else that was confirmed is since this is all one interconnected world, we will have varying weather, being day and night, maybe even rainy or cloudy, which is awesome as you can see this track now at night and it shows the same track during the day. We then get a super quick look at all the racers in the first race, including Bowser Jr., Baby Luigi, Pauline, Luigi, Birdo, Shy Guy, Waluigi, Baby Daisy, Peach, Wario, Toad, Baby Peach, Baby Rosalina, Baby Mario, Regular Daisy, Toadette, Rosalina, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Lakitu, King Boo, Koopa Troopa, Bowser, and Mario. We then get to see a scene of Luigi drifting in what seems to be more of an African safari type of track, which is really cool, as you can see a giant giraffe walking down the street in the background. Then a scene of Princess Peach racing down a highway on a motorcycle as well, which could be an old track coming back, it's hard to say. Something else I want to point out is during the trailer we do hear the theme of Toad's Factory, so it could be a returning track, and it seems like some of the returning tracks are remixed to look pretty daggone different, and we'll talk about them when we get there. This next scene we go back to the desert and we see some grolls actually rolling back and forth, but this time the grolls seem to be based off of a giant monster truck tire this time around, which is pretty interesting, but I'd guess they would probably roll back and forth across the track. The background's pretty interesting too. We can see some giant star rings in the sky where we'll probably have gliding sections. You can see Luigi driving completely off the road, and you might not even slow down being able to be off the road. As we see in free roam, you can drive pretty much anywhere, even off the grass, so that's probably just an area where you can actually drive with no penalty. Also in the background seems to be a giant twister of some sort. Now, I don't know if this is just a track obstacle. Are we going to be able to drive into it and fling us somewhere? Is it just going to spin us out if we hit it? It's hard to say. Also, did you notice Yoshi's little eyelid twitch expression as he lands? It's just a nice little touch, and every character having cool expressions is awesome. This next scene shows Daisy actually landing into the river, but what's very interesting about this is we don't see her cart transform at all. It just kind of jumps into the water and the tires are gone. So I don't know if there's some type of transition that they're hiding from us, but it looks like your cart's going to be able to transition into a speedboat when you go on top of water, which is a really cool change. There's also many branching paths, as you can actually see some on the top right and even the top left, and the top right one from the Koopa Troopa is actually being driven on the side of the wall. Yeah, it looks like you can drive on the side of walls without even having to jump off of them, because yes, there's wall jumps in Mario Kart this time around, which we'll talk about when we get there. Not to mention, coins also unfortunately make a return, but I guess they're technically needed. There's reasons why they're here. And we can also see the triple mushroom item making a return, as Baby Daisy has them in the background. Next up we get DK Pass returning from Mario Kart DS, which is a track that never did make it back in the booster pass, but it looks incredibly different this time around, almost like DK Summit, with a giant sign of DK in the background saying DK Pass, and also his classic look as well, like he has in this game, and also his upcoming 3D adventure game, Donkey Kong Bonanza. But we can finally see the item boxes here. There's still single and doubles ones as well, which shows that we can have two items at once returning from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, Rosalina is using a snowmobile cart here, but this isn't just for the snow area. This actually is just a cart. We've seen her use it on another track, and you can see the racers in the background are still using a cart with tires. So no, I don't think it's changing based on this track. Like I said, we can hear the Toad's Factory theme, but this track in particular kind of reminds me of Toad's Factory in a way, but remixed. Lots of the tracks returning are completely remixed, so maybe that's what's going on here, but this is definitely based on the classic Donkey Kong arcade game. You can see the red girders going all the way to the top with the blue ladders, and you can even see a giant Robo DK jumping to the very top. Also, the glider sections seem to be different, which actually gives your cart wings instead of just a glider above, which I actually really like. And I think you'll be able to have more mobility in the air this time around, actually being able to fly around instead of just gliding. You can also see some spiked DK barrels falling down off of the platforms, which is probably going to have to be dodged as we're driving up these girders. This area also seems to be representative of some type of space launch, as you can see a giant orange shuttle towards the left side of the screen, and you can see some cannons that's actually the ones shooting out those barrels down the girders in the first place. And there also seems to be little drones around the track that are holding lights in order for you to see where you're going. Next, we see Pauline confirmed to be a racer, and we can see her driving through what seems to be a giant New York inspired city. There's tons of construction signs with Koopa Troopas on them and giant buildings and skyscrapers. Yeah, some type of new city, and it makes sense for Pauline to be here. Up above her, you can see a ramp going across with racers jumping over the ramp literally while Pauline is at the bottom. So it looks like it may be an alternate path that you can take, because they're in a completely different area than where Pauline is, unless she's doing this in free roam, which wouldn't make sense because she's also collecting items. So yeah, this looks like a completely alternate different path that you can take. Now we do see a billboard on the side of a building that has a train on the front and looks a lot like Calamari Desert. So I don't know if that's telling us that Calamari Desert is returning in this game, or is it something else entirely? It's hard to say. The next area shows us a giant, almost open world snow area to drive around. Look at how many paths there are. There's one on the far left, one on the far right, one in the middle, branching ones on the top right and the top left, and there's ones going around the lake in the top. There's just so many different areas, but right now all the racers are going down the middle one. And like I said, this game is about open world racing, and it's something that I actually predicted that would happen, where we can just pretty much drive anywhere and everywhere, and finding shortcuts is going to be crazy because there's going to be so much meta, so much tech, specific things that you want to drive over or paths that you want to go down. This is definitely based off of a ski resort, and you can even see like the little ski resort buildings at the bottom of the hill. You can see the flags that you would weave in and out of towards the bottom, a lot like Mount Wario. This might be a new Mount Wario or something like that. These slopes on the top left have tons of ramps, and it looks like more of a free roam area than just a track. I think a lot of the things that we see in the background are just areas that we can go and free roam, but not necessarily for the race that we're in, because this just looks like a trick park where you could just drive around, do tricks, and just mess around up there. There's even a giant bridge at the top left. It looks so good. At the top right, we can see a giant lake with more resort buildings around it, and even the path going down into the lake and then back out, so you'll probably turn into your jet ski for a little bit and then, back on land with your tires. But it looks like just more area to just free roam with. Then we can go back to the African savanna area, and it looks like it's still kind of that desert landscape. It might be the same area. It's hard to say. It's just everything's so interconnected. It's hard to tell what's distinctly different from the other ones. For instance, in the back left, you can see a giant floating question block, which we would see in the next scene. So this is a completely different region in a completely different world, but you can just see everything from every track. So awesome. You can also see a cloud that looks like a giant ship in the background, which actually looks like it could be the area for Airship Fortress, which we do get a glimpse at, which we'll get into later on. This does seem to be around that same desert area as the beginning of the trailer, as you can see that Yoshi's Diner building way off in the background. There also seems to be another little pit stop just like the Yoshi's Diner one over here to the left, but this one with leaves covering it. And I have a pretty good idea what these pit stops are for, which I'll get into later on. We see these bulls racing across the track by King Boo, which is also confirmed, and we see DK actually crash into one and him jump up in the air. These could be the bull rushes from Super Mario Wonder, but I doubt it, as that was in the Flower Kingdom, so it might just be an original new bull creature. Next area shows us an open kind of water area that's fenced in for this specific race on top of the water. Everyone's driving on top of the water. You can see Shy Guys going by in their little jet skis, but there's also lots of new characters revealed here in this scene as well. In this scene, we have one of my favorites making a return, being Hammer Bro. We have Nabbit. We also have a Goomba finally being a playable racer, and a couple more up front that's hard to really see right now. There's also a castle up on the hill. I'm not sure whose castle this is or even if it belongs to anybody. It looks like it could maybe represent Rosalina, as it has some accents of blue and some whites all over it, but who knows. Now the blue signs around the area state that it's called Peach Resort, so maybe it is just like a Peach Vacation Castle or something like that. Of course she has one, because why not? And this one kinda is inspired by DK Jungle, even the one from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which actually looks like it has the Golden Temple, but instead it's just a giant golden question block up there that we're about to drive into because one of the question marks is actually missing, leaving a giant hole. But yeah, it gives me kind of a Jungle Ruins vibe with the tiki torches and everything, so it very well might just be a DK themed track. Now this next scene shows Bowser drifting in some area that also looks kind of mechanical, and there also looks like there's like shipping containers everywhere that follows the scene with Wario racing on some dirt paths. It also looks like a factory setting on the outside. This could be the new Toad's factory. It's once again really hard to say, but it's the most resembling out of I think anything that we've seen so far. Here we see Wario do some tricks, which the first one looks like his Nair from Smash Brothers, but notice how when everyone does tricks even around him, it has this weird aura glow around them, which reminds me a lot of the Wonder effects from Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which still makes me wonder if there's some type of major mechanic that they're still hiding, which very well could still be the case. I mean, we still have a Mario Kart World Direct coming in 2 weeks, so maybe we'll learn more then. Now, something else I actually think this second track is a new Wario Stadium. It has the dirt paths and the ramps, and you can even see like giant screens and speakers and flames shooting up in the background, and there's lots of Wario and Waluigi signs. So I'm placing my bets that this is in fact a new Wario or Waluigi Stadium. This track seems to be some type of haunted sunken ship within the water area, and if you look closely, it will look familiar because this is Wario's shipyard. In fact, we actually get an emblem of what the stage looks like, and yeah, it's returning from Mario Kart 7, which was another track that we did not see in the Booster Pass return. Here we get some more awesome facial expressions. I mean, just look at Bowser Jr.'s face when he lands. He looks so ornery with his little cheesy smile. It's so great. But if you look around with the other racers, they're all wearing costumes. Pauline has a racer suit, Peach has her hair up in a high pony with a pink bow and also wearing like jean shorts and a jacket. Koopa Troopa looks like a pit stop guy with his hat and little microphone, and Wario's wearing a helmet with goggles on it. Yeah, we're gonna have some really cool different costumes this time around. Not to mention Lakitu's also wearing his little helmet behind Bowser Jr. Next up we see King Boo's return again, and he has the look from Mario Wonder, being slightly different. We can also see this track seems to be some type of haunted area that's within a film or something. It almost reminds me of the Ruin Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey, but with a different color, more brown than purple. And we can see this film of Princess Peach being scared with a little hat on and a different dress, and we're actually flying through rolls of film for some reason, and I don't even know where this could take place on an open world. Maybe it's in like a sub-world once you go into somewhere. As they're jumping through the roll of film, if you look closely, you can see what seems to be some type of like main stage or something with a whole bunch of boos surrounding it. You can see seats in the audience, and it looks like we're jumping straight into the theater stage. Now, it looks like we'll have tons of more freedom to do tricks and other things with Mario Kart that we've never been able to do before. You can see Mario actually crouch down before he jumps. It looks like you can charge this almost like a drift as well, as we see blue sparks by his tires as he's drifted down to the ground. He pops up and is actually able to drift on the rail with 2 tires. We see Shy Guy in a magic carpet cart doing the same thing, also drifting on rails, but notice the background. This once again seems to be a returning stage, as it looks a lot like Shy Guy Bazaar, once again returning from Mario Kart 7. Mario Kart 7 getting a lot of throwbacks here. Not only do we see Mario drive on the wall here, but he actually does flips off of the wall, literally wall jumping back and forth, which is crazy. Now this seems to be the DK themed stage, as you can tell that he's on one of the red girders, and if you look at the wall in front of him, it'll have the classic oil drum and the fireballs from that arcade game as well. Now we get to start seeing some crazy character combos and carts. This is the cow from Moo Moo Meadows, literally driving a radio boombox motorcycle. What is this combination? This is hilarious, and this is exactly what I wanted from the character roster though. Being able to play as just absolutely wacky characters. The cow from Moo Moo Meadows is drifting on a power line on a boombox. Come on. This area also looks like it could be a new version of Moo Moo Meadows, as there's cows pretty much everywhere all over the track. You also get to see a couple items at play here. For instance, Toad uses a Giga Mushroom, which we haven't seen since Mario Kart Wii, and he uses it just to crush all the racers just like we could back then. You can also notice Baby Luigi is driving a blooper themed cart right behind him. You also see Hammer Bro throwing hammers out, so this is either an item in the game or maybe a character specific item. And it's pretty interesting how the hammers actually stick and dig into the dirt when they hit the ground as well, probably staying there as obstacles that enemies can run into. And it looks like you can throw multiple hammers at a time, where 4 or even 5 can come out. There's also a question block on the telephone line for some reason. I guess you can jump up and hit it for another item, or maybe just more coins, or maybe something else special. We also have what looks to be a bramble from New Super Mario Bros. U walking across the track, but this one looks kind of different, almost like it's a metal or a robot version. We then have Toadette hitting her own question block multiple times to get coins, but it also shoots the coins all over the track, I guess for other racers to get them too. What's the point of this? I don't know, besides you getting like a couple coins, but it also could be that question block that we saw up on the zip line, so maybe you can jump up and grab one and then just keep hitting it for some coins like you can in some of the Mario games like Mario 3D World, having a almost infinite coin block that you hit multiple times until it runs out. This also seems to be some type of form of Peach's castle. You can see the inside of the castle a little bit and some of the top of the roofing there, and also the long path with the red flags that kind of resembles that of Peach's castle, along with tons of Peach signs with advertisements all over the inside of her castle. In this next scene, Luigi's actually holding the bullet bill item behind him before he uses it, which is never able to be done before, but he's holding it and then turns into the bullet bill and flies forward. There's lots of little scratches and detail in this bullet bill this time around, which is really cool to look at. Now, we do get to see some more racers with costumes, including Toad with a helmet and some girl with a hat. It looks like Daisy, it probably is, it's just kind of hard to tell from this angle, and Wario with goggles once again in that helmet. Also, we can finally see that glowing takeout bag that we saw in the original trailer, and it's on top of a Yoshi's food truck. It seems like if you grab it, it's going to give you something, but what is it? Well, we'll get into that in just a brief second. You can also see at the top right, once again, an outside look at Peach's castle. It looks pretty massive this time around, as you can see one of the giant towers and the pink cherry blossom trees surrounding the area. It seems like there might be some little gimmicky things on each track. For instance, with this one, it looks like it's right outside Peach's castle. We see Birdo drive into the back of a giant semi-truck and is able to actually take control of the truck and blast forward and probably run over the other racers and cars in a way. You can actually see her knock the guardrail out of the way, which was pretty interesting. Now this one's kind of interesting. We see Mario have this giant stacked up cheeseburger that he probably got from Yoshi's Diner back there, and when he eats it, he actually transforms with his costume, giving him a new outfit. But what is happening here? Maybe you collect these food bags at a Yoshi's Diner somewhere, which in turn gives you a food like a giant cheeseburger, and if you eat it, it gives you a specific costume. And maybe these are the collectibles around the overworld that you can find. You can collect them during your races if you haven't yet, or you can collect them in your free roam, where you can just go around finding all the costumes for all the characters. But it feels like it might be doing more than just that. Either way, we see lots of costumes in this game, including costumes that look like they're returning from Mario Kart Tour, brand new costumes, and even costumes inspired by other games, like we see Mario with tons of outfits based on his Odyssey outfits. It looks like the costume is dependent on the region that you actually collected. For instance, Luigi turns into Farmer Luigi as he gets his food bag here on what looks to be Moo Moo Meadows. As you can see, a farm in the background, you can see cars driving down this long dirt road, silos, haystacks. It looks like a Moo Moo Meadows. Bowser gets his crazy steampunk outfit where his shell turns into like a motor with exhaust pipes coming out of it. What's also very interesting about the scene is you can see the drivers in the other cars now, which was never able to be seen before. You can see the Koopa Troopa clearly driving this truck, and he even looks over at Bowser as he goes by. This is some serious world building. You can see tons of costumes in this scene. DK has shades on and lots of padding, almost like it's coming from Mario Strikers. You see Waluigi with his helmet and shades on. You can also look really closely and see the Koopa Troopa almost wearing one of the green backwards caps like from Super Mario Odyssey. Of course, colored Yoshis are making a return, as you can see white Yoshi right by Toad. Once again, you'll probably be able to collect these costumes for every single character and change them out whenever you want. You can see costumes like the second one coming straight from Super Mario Odyssey, along with the right one as well. And then even some new ones, like the one on the left is an entirely new one that gives her a visor and puts her crown on the front with a racing suit on as well. This scene shows Mario with a racing suit and helmet as well, very similar to the one from Mario Odyssey, not the exact same one though. And Toad also has a racing helmet and suit as well below Mario with a little antenna sticking out of it. Now, if you look behind Mario, that is a pretty interesting racer. You have Charging Chuck back there behind Mario, but also a Mr. Blizzard snowman, and he doesn't have any hands, it looks like. He's just straight up Ghost riding the whip. But this track also still looks like it's one of the first in the game, taking you around Peach's castle. We also see Waluigi decked out in his racing gear as well, also which looks like once again at that Wario or Waluigi Stadium track, which pretty much confirms that's exactly what that is from this pic. Now in this scene we see Mario flying in onto a bridge, and what's interesting about this is there seems to be tons of traffic that you could actually interact with. There's different ramps like we've had before. Some cars actually have items that they're pulling behind it, even as they're driving in the opposite direction. But what's really interesting is, just like the semi before, we can actually see what looks to be a barrel that you can hop in and probably blast yourself forward. There's also bullet bills going down the road, but they're not moving that fast because they're not even bullet bills. They look to be bonsai bills, and they're not an item that someone's using because they don't even have arms, and there's two of them in the same lane. Why they're bonsai bills just driving down the middle of a bridge on the highway, I have no clue. But they're probably going to run into that giant bomb that's on a cart moving the opposite direction, so you're going to want to watch out for that. In this next scene, we have a giant sandmarg shooting out of the sand and looping over the track. We can also see some ramps with flying rings, so once again, it's probably the blue ramps that allows you to pull out your glider or your wings. Once again, not sure if it's a glider or if we're able to freely fly a lot. This time it doesn't look like Kamek is a playable racer, but this time an item where Mario actually uses Kamek. You can see him put his hand up real quick before Kamek flies out, but what does Kamek do exactly? Well, I don't know. Maybe he works kind of like Boo, going off and messing with other racers or stealing other racers or dropping things on the track or changing racers into different things. Who knows? But this is an interesting new item. I can't wait to see exactly what it does. I have a theory. What if it's not even the Giga Mushroom that makes you big this time, but instead it's Kamek, just like the games, making Bowser grow giant after he's defeated? Maybe he sprinkles you with some of his magic fairy dust and actually turns you giant instead of the Giga Mushroom. That would be a cool little spin on that item. This next scene looks like it has tons of water still right in front of Peach's castle, and we can see it in all of its glory in the background. But also notice how there's a giant whale coming out of the water. Something I really like about this is these kind of Mario themed animals that we've never really seen before. It's normally just creatures and enemies of Bowser's army, but seeing actual Mario themed animals again, besides just the cows from Moo Moo Meadow, is pretty cool. Before it goes into the title screen, we see Mario actually waving in the front. I don't know if that's just for the video or if he can actually do that. Are there like taunts that you can do? But he's actually waving at the camera. That looks like it's in game. Like it looks like it's something that you can actually do. But it pans out and shows you Peach's castle, which is a pretty basic track. You start off at the bottom and wrap all the way around. It looks like the outside of the castle and make your way towards the top. But it's a pretty different take on Peach's castle, and Peach's castle looks a lot different here. Like I said, it just looks massive and expansive and almost like broken apart to allow tracks to flow in and out of the castle freely. It still kind of looks almost like it's a newly designed castle, maybe for an upcoming 3D Mario game that Nintendo decided not to show there in its Direct. That's for another video. Then Nintendo shows us the actual world map, which actually is an interconnected world that has everything together. Top left has a giant volcano region with lava everywhere, and it looks like it might be the area where you see the cities, as well as it looks like there's a bright city below it. Below that is the desert region where we've seen all of the, deserts, African savanna area, that giant question block. Down towards the bottom is the giant bridge, which makes me wonder, is the bridge just a single racetrack just driving straight? It's pretty interesting though. It could just have tons of crazy traffic, but you have that, some islands below it like some type of beach tracks, and also that giant Donkey Kong arcade track at the bottom left, and a city that connects to the bridge area. At the bottom right section, you have kind of a marshland almost. It almost looks like it could be like a creepy area with lots of fog. Maybe that's where we have our haunted areas and stuff like that. Above that might be the actual grassland area, or maybe something else that's kind of desert themed, and some more grassland areas above that towards the top right, including kind of like a fall themed area with orange trees, kind of like Maple Tree Way. Maybe it's more of an oriental area, kind of like Origami King's Autumn Mountain, something like that would be cool. And of course the top right is the giant snow themed area with the ski resorts, the ski lofts, and all that. Top middle seems to be jungle area and more grassland. In the middle of the map is Peach's castle with a giant star lake and her huge castle just in the center. I mean, it's pretty massive this time around. Now looking at this, it still just makes me wonder, was this also kind of a world that we're going to get for the new, maybe open world 3D Mario game that could be coming? Maybe, because this just looks like a new Mushroom Kingdom altogether, with everything kind of getting revamped. Of course, we get the name of the game being Mario Kart World, finally dropping the numbered moniker that we normally get, showing us like 9, 10, like nope, it's World this time around, which is pretty cool. But would you believe it if I told you this was only halfway through the reveal trailer? There's still so much more to talk about, so please stop what you're doing. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. This is a very long analysis. A lot of you watching are not yet subscribed, and you're gonna want to be because there's a lot of Mario Kart World content to talk about. But back into the analysis. This scene shows Mario flying up into the sky wearing his airplane outfit from Odyssey. This is the track with the giant question block in the jungle ruins area, and you can also see some clouds down below. They're probably just for show, but yeah, you're flying towards the top, probably towards that question block area. You then see the classic Donkey Kong track again, and Peach doing a wall jump before landing on a higher path on that same track. You then see Chargin' Chuck drive into another Chargin' Chuck that's just charging across the stage here, and it actually flips his cart over sideways, which is a different wipeout than we've seen before. You can also see the track shooting mud out the background, and also giant mud boulders rolling everywhere, and Bowser seems to have some type of full bodysuit as he's also rolling beside Chargin' Chuck. And for some strange reason, Fishbone is actually a racer in this game. Yeah. The literal skeleton fish from New Super Mario Bros. What is going on? Here we see Lakitu racing alongside Bowser Jr., and he's wearing what looks to be kind of similar to his Kung Fu Lakitu poster that he had back in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But you can also see he has a fishing pole with a little spiny attached to the end of it as just part of the costume, which is really cool. Bowser Jr.'s costume has tons of stickers all over his shell, but Bowser Jr. throws out the boomerang item, which seems to be making a return this time. Of course, it's another look at the new Wario or Waluigi Stadium track, but also if you look very closely at the very end of this clip, you'll see it looks like maybe Toad with a green helmet raise up the super horn, and it'll actually yell out beep in giant blue letters, so maybe just kind of giving an indicator that someone's actually using a super horn this time around, because sometimes it's hard to tell just from the shockwave. But yeah, it looks like the super horn is making a return, which we'll also see in the next scene as Daisy uses it, and it shows a bigger shockwave now on the ground that wipes out the Cataquack driving behind her. Yep, you heard me right. We also have Waluigi right beside him wearing a giant sombrero. If you look closely also, Cataquack is holding a golden mushroom before getting wiped out from the super horn. Well, I can't really say he's holding it, it's just there, floating beside him. Next up, we get another look at the world map that's a little bit clearer now, thanks to the fact that it's in the daytime, and nothing in particular stands out. There's a deeper desert region in the far western side of the map that's more based off of like a sand desert, probably with pyramids and like Egypt themed over there, but besides that, the only other thing I've noticed was the snow region. It seems to have a place very similar to Rosalina's observatory to the top, which we'll actually see a little glimpse of here in a second, but also far to the east, we see something that looks like almost a maybe baby park or some type of theme park, or maybe even a Rainbow Road themed area over there in the water. They go into a section showing off some more of the tracks. This one clearly is Moo Moo Meadows. It has the cow symbols pretty much everywhere. It looks just like Moo Moo Meadows, and we even have the Monty Moles digging underneath the ground, as you can see the piles of dirt moving along the ground as well. And you can see the giant Princess Peach castle in the background once again. Her castle is huge this time around. This new one shows some type of new city, maybe even under construction or something like that. There's nothing too special to pull from this. You can just see some racers at the top of the rooftops and stuff, as there's racers on the bottom. Once again, maybe having alternate paths. Why else would they be on so different parts of the track? Maybe it is because they're in the free range or free roam mode. There's also a parking garage to the left, so I'm very curious to see how far this free roam goes. Are we going to be able to just drive into parking garages and stuff? We also go back to that savannah themed track, and you can see the animals everywhere, the hawks in the sky, the zebras running down the track. It's just so lively, and once again, I love these like Mario themed animals, and we really don't see much like that. This one is pretty insane as we're driving down this super narrow ice mountain to a final ramp at the end. I don't know if that's the end of the race or if that's like a checkpoint, but I really just want to drive off that thing and just fly out there and see what's down at the bottom of the hill. But also back to that weird baby park, theme park, maybe even Rainbow Road thing we thought we saw earlier on the map. Looks like it might be like a popsicle dessert Sky High Sundae theme of track, which I hope it's not the same as Sky High Sundae, because I think the theming of that track was awesome. The execution was just a big circle, so hopefully they can expand on that if they are bringing it back. Now this seems to be the track that we saw with the giant ship themed cloud. We can even see the desert below it, so this is probably that same area just in the sky. But yeah, this seems to be Airship Fortress. I mean, there's a lot that looks just like it, including a giant ship in the background shooting what probably is bullet bills towards the racers, as you can see a giant cannon on the side of the ship. There's just a giant airship battle going on in the sky. it has to be Airship Fortress, which would be a returning DS track, which once again didn't make the booster course pass, which is a kind of a theme I'm seeing here. We then go to free roam mode and we see a giant cliff in the background with a giant sign that states Home of the Rainbow Fragment, which I'm not sure what that could mean, but also if you look to the right where Luigi is driving, you can see an alleyway with a P-switch, so it seems like there might actually be challenges and stuff for us to do in free roam besides just drive around collecting costumes. There might be a reason for us to go in free roam and things for us to collect, so I'm pretty curious to see what they could do with this. Then see King Boo in this weird get-up with a top hat, fur coat, and a moniker, and even a gray mustache. Like, these costumes are going out of its way to be insane. I love it. But you can also see the different weather changes here as King Boo's going through the city at night and it's raining and you can see the raindrops actually hit the screen. This is so well done. You can even see the rain splash and shine and glimmer on the tires as well as he's turning. Just the graphics here are insane. On the first scene, you can see some highway signs above King Boo that says, "Course ahead, are you ready?" And I guess it shows you that you're about to enter a region where a new course is. So you can just drive around some side roads until you reach every new course. Also, if you look at the top of the building on the left, you can see that there's actually coins up there on the roof, even stacks of coins. So we're not only going to be able to just drive around the roads and the grass and stuff, you're going to be able to drive up on the buildings, maybe along alleyways and find coins, which you could probably use to buy costumes or buy certain things in the game, because if we're driving around cities and stuff collecting coins, they have to have a real purpose. Now, it sounds like they actually explain how racing is going to work with cups. It seems like each cup is going to be 4 tracks that are within the same region. You're going to be able to drive to each new race in the cup. For instance, after you finish course 1, you'll be able to actually drive straight on over to course 2, and that looks like what's happening here, that the racers are already moving and it's counting down before you can actually start to really take off. And this is really interesting. So there's not going to be loading times or waits in between tracks of each cup. You'll just be able to immediately drive over to the next race, doing 4 races immediately, one after the next in a cup, which is awesome. But we also have tons of new racers in this scene, including Baby Daisy, which I may have already brought up earlier, but we also have the Crab, technically the sidestepper that originated from the Mario Brothers arcade game. We also have Sting Bee from Mario 3D Land and 3D World. We have Spike, Monty Mole, and the Penguins from the Mario series. We also have a red Para Biddy-Bud that's joining the race, and it looks like Wiggler will be here as well. There's another racer that I can't make out. It looks like Baby Rosalina is to the right of this racer, and Spike is to the left, but who is this? The only thing I could think of is maybe one of the baby penguins, or maybe Swooper from New Super Mario Brothers, the bat, which would be just as insane, but I mean, hey, we got Fishbone, so it wouldn't be crazy if we got Swooper. In this scene, we can see that character a little bit better, and he does have wings that come out, so it is indeed Swooper. Now, I thought this was Baby Rosalina beside him, which still could be, but why would she just be standing up holding this like weird T-pose? Is this something else? I don't know, but I still think it's Baby Rosalina though. It looks weird in this scene. Also, what the heck is Spike doing? Is this like a animation? Is this a pose that you can do? Like, I'm wondering if we could just do taunts. Like, that's why Swooper's holding out his wings. That's why Baby Rosalina's standing up like a T-pose, and maybe that's why Spike is doing whatever this is. Now we get into track information. Now, off the bat, it seems like we have 8 cups. I'm hoping there's actually more because base Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has 12 cups, plus the DLC added an additional 12 cups. So I'm sure this game is going to have DLC or something, but I'm very curious to see if there's actually more than just 8 cups, which would give us 4 tracks in each one for a total of 32 tracks. It's not bad, but I would definitely love to see more. But anyways, we have the Mushroom Cup, which shows us 4 tracks: Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Whistle Top Summit, and DK Spaceport. Now we can see that Robo DK from DK Spaceport, and it was pretty much what we expected it to be. But for Whistle Top Summit, this seems to be the track that I thought was going to be Calamari Desert returning, but it's a new train-themed mountaintop racetrack, which looks pretty cool. It even shows you to the right how you'll be driving to each track one after the next, all in a straight line pretty much, which is pretty cool. The Flower Cup, we have lots of returning tracks. We have Desert Hills coming back from Mario Kart DS. The Angry Sun symbol is still there. We have Shy Guy Bazaar coming back from Mario Kart 7, Wario Stadium, which could just be a brand new one for this game, and we have Airship Fortress once again coming back from Mario Kart DS. The Star Cup, we also have lots of returning tracks with DK Pass coming back from Mario Kart DS, Starview Peak, which looks a lot like Rosalina's Observatory, way better than Rosalina's Ice World, whatever that was. We also have Sky High Sunday making a return from Mario Kart Tour, believe it or not, and we have Wario Shipyard making making a return from Mario Kart 7. For the Shell Cup, we have Koopa Troopa Beach coming back from Mario Kart 64. We have Faraway Oasis, which is that safari themed track. We also have Crown City again, which is pretty interesting. And we have Peach Stadium, which is also pretty cool considering the fact that we've never really had a Peach Stadium before. This seems to be Crown City, which is interesting because it's part of the first cup during the day. But it seems like when we go all the way to the Shell Cup, Crown City is also part of the lineup just based on the location on the map, and it works well with the grouping of tracks within that area. So this kind of tells me that there's going to have to be a lot more cups, considering the fact that lots of the cups can have these same tracks in them, just with different paths on how you get there. So yeah, hopefully there's a lot more than just 8 cups. There's some tracks that they don't show us yet. For instance, there's one with like mud all around it, which was probably that mud one that we've seen with Charge and Chuck. There's another one that shows us windmills and cows, which looks a lot like the Moo Moo Meadows track. Then we see a sand one with a giant wind up at the top, which looks a lot like Toad's Factory. Then we have one at the bottom that looks like the fall or oriental theme that we got maybe a glimpse of with the Princess Peach costumes. Then we see another one with a windy road, which I'm not sure if we've seen this one yet. The map at the bottom right seems to be the Peach Resort one, all surrounded by water with that blue and white castle. And that other one right by it looks like it could be that other water area that actually had Daisy in it riding on top of the water like a jet ski. Then we have 2 more in the bottom area. The one on the far right looks like a fallen question block out of the sky, very similar to the one that we've seen in the north by the desert. And then we have one that seems to be representative of some type of prehistoric dinosaur pterodactyl themed area like Jurassic Park, which we actually do get a little look at. Right there, that tells us that's 15 tracks that we can count, minus 1 because of the fact that they used Crown City for 2 different cups. And that changes to 24 tracks if we count all the ones in the surrounding areas. We can add 2 more thanks to the question block one in the sky and also the haunted Boo one that takes you through the tapestry of the film. Thanks to the website, we can add even more, like a Mario Circuit 3 theme track. Try saying that 10 times fast, but it looks like it takes all the different Mario circuits and places them into one track, which is pretty cool. We also have a new Bowser's Castle that's at the top of the volcano and some type of skeletal one beside it in the lava. And there's one more track for the far north that shows us a giant tree and just different nature themed things like sting bees flying around and stuff. We also see a purple Yoshi and a top hat in the background, but this will come in at a whopping 29 tracks. Thankfully, the website even gives us a full map to confirm it, so you can count for yourself, and pretty much every track that I've shown off has been shown off in some capacity, whether it's just an image on Nintendo's website or through the trailer. But yeah, 29 tracks isn't a lot. I mean, base Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U had at least 32 tracks to start before greatly expanding it, so I'm sure we're gonna get DLC. But at the price of these Switch 2 games being like $80 and almost $90 if you want to get a physical version, yeah, I don't know how many people are going to really want to pay for DLC. Of course, every single track isn't just a quick little track. They're pretty expansive, and I'm just hoping that maybe there's like a second island somewhere. Maybe there's even more tracks coming in DLC, you know, far off in the water beside it in its own like separate region and islands. But yeah, we're going to need more than that for sure. Here's the actual rendered map so you can use it for comparison. You can also see all the different paths showing that all the different options you're going to have for the cups and probably revisiting certain tracks for certain cups. Next up, we see what looks to be Mario Circuit 3. As like I said before, it looks like it's all the past Mario circuits kind of combined into one track. You'll leave one and go on to the next one, as we're leaving this one and going onto this dirt road in order to travel to the next area. Here we see Wario in his gold turban outfit, and we also see another new playable character being a Pokey. They're literally just throwing in any side character and enemy that we could ever think of. In this next scene that looks like DK Pass, you can see another new character being Pianta driving right behind Bowser, and in front of Bowser, yeah, that's a Peepa. We're getting the Peepa as a playable racer before a Boo, which is just hilarious to me. But also notice how the Bullet Bill runs into the Peepa, but doesn't knock it over. In fact, it just kind of tips it over on its side 2 tires and hops right back on all 4. So yeah, maybe you're not going to get ran over anymore. Instead, you'll just get bumped. Also, Bowser's shell actually has a speedometer on it, which is pretty cool. I mean, some costumes can really go pretty unique in this game. In this next scene, we can see the walking Bramble again, and it does seem to be robotic or metal this time around instead of organic. We also have the new Moo Moo Meadows that they show off a little bit. They show a cow on a motorcycle statue on top of the building, which is hilarious. And we get to see even more cups. We have a golden mushroom cup, an ice flower, a power moon, a blue shell, double cherry, super acorn, Cloud Flower, and the Heart power-up from Mario Odyssey, which I don't even know if it has a name. This just shows that rallies are different than cups, and for rallies, they'll actually go over more than just 4 tracks. It'll go through a whole bunch of them, which is pretty interesting. Also get some new pictures for Desert Hills. We can see the condors from Mario 3D World, and we also see the new robot Bramball with the track above it. Seems like going between their legs when they're planted could give you a speed boost in order to shoot you forward. Also have 2 new icons for the top 2 tracks. Moo Moo Meadows has the Monty Mole symbol on it, and we also have this new giant tree or forest area with Wiggler being the main character for that profile pic. Also with rallies, you can play Knockout Tour, so all of these tracks you'll race from one end all the way to the other without stopping, and pretty much if you're the furthest one in the back at the checkpoint, you'll get knocked out, and it'll keep knocking out racers from all the way to the back to the front. This is one of those tours, and we can see another one with these tracks. Some of these are kind of interesting to me. The city still looks primarily the same, but you have this one that's kind of outside the outskirts of the castle, and it seems to be a different track. So maybe these are just 29 main tracks, some smaller ones around it, because that doesn't look like the Peach's Castle or the Peach Stadium one that we saw earlier. This looks like something completely different. Here you have that fall theme track with some type of creature under the cone. I don't know if this is just a new creature altogether or like a Bitty Bud or something. We'll have a better look at that fall track in a minute on Nintendo's website. I'll show you guys. We also have the new Sky High Sundae with a Yoshi vendor just kind of waving at us. We have Luigi driving down this road, and there's actually a lot of things to take in here. So at the bottom right, you'll see that he's in 5th place, and it says you need to be in 8th or better in order to pass through the next checkpoint, or you'll get kicked out. You can see the character in front of him has a triple red shells, so the triple reds will be returning, and there's a lot of other things going on this track. At the very start, you can see a giant spike in the back of the truck, and I'm wondering if he's going to be able to spit things out at you on the track. There's also footballs bouncing around the track thanks to charging chucks on the side that you can see up there on the road. It looks like he's either kicking or throwing another football into the road. Another one is in the middle of the road clapping as he's jumping up and down, and there's a giant spiked ball rolling down the road, which pretty much confirms my theory that the giant spikes will be able to toss them as a projectile. You can even see him sitting on the back of the truck up in front of Luigi. At the bottom left, you'll also see the laps. This is 4 of 6, which is pretty interesting, and you'll also notice that Luigi's holding 20 coins. Who knows what it caps off at this time around? Clearly you can collect more than 10. Is 20 the max? Do they even do anything during a race like speed you up like before, or is it more for a collectible thing at the end of the race you can put it into like a piggy bank or something and buy costumes? Who knows? But we can also look at the item wheel and see some other ones returning, like the blooper. We do see the Giga Mushroom there, the Fire Flower, the Lightning Bolt Mixer return, the single red shell, and an Ice Flower is there, as well as the triple bananas. As it continues rolling, we see even more items like the Bob-omb returning. We also see triple green shells, the spiked blue shell making a return, the Super Horn, the Star, and we see like a crystal ball in order to call Kamek in, which I still am not sure what it does, considering the fact that we do also see a Boo item here, so it's not the same thing as a Boo. We also see the Super Horn and Boomerang once again, but I think that's pretty much it for the items, unless there's one that they're not showing outside of the question block, which we've already seen as well, which allows you just to keep hitting the block for coins. Also, here's a picture of what looks to be the Super Feather making a return, and this doesn't even look like a battle mode. This might just be for racing, unless there's a battle mode that they haven't even showed us yet. You can also see what it looks like to pass the gate. For instance, this one says 16, so you probably have to be in 16th place or better in order to continue. Anybody else behind just gets kicked out. This next scene, as Mario's trying to race to get within the pack, you can see in front of him is a dolphin character from the past Mario games, which is crazy. Coming back from Super Mario World as a classic character, yeah, a dolphin is on a motorcycle. They give us a little bit more information on free roam, which shows Mario leaned up against his car and he's holding a can of Yoshi's drink. It's a picture of the Yoshi fruit on the can, so it shows me that there's going to be a lot more than just driving around. There's probably missions and side quests and things that we're able to do, especially with him holding that can, unless it's just for show for this screenshot, but I feel like there's a lot more to this. In this scene in the desert, there's lots of pipes with piranha plants sticking their heads out of it, and there's a P-switch up on the rock for you to hit, once again probably laying out lots of blue coins or maybe some type of collectible that you gotta collect in the surrounding area. This one shows Mario in like a Wario's Gold Mine like area as he's a cowboy Mario grinding on a rail going down the train tracks. This is most likely Whistle Top Summit, as it's entirely train theme, and I like how the sign says safety first, as Mario's literally grind railing on the skinniest path of all time. Next, we have Toadette driving through the savannah, which is just beautiful, by the way. You can even see the paths and tracks that she's leaving behind her in the mud as she's going over these specific mud spots, and even going through the grass flings the grass up in the air. So like Yeah, Nintendo put in effort into this game, man. In the background, we can see some type of helicopter that's kind of resting on the ground right now. So I'm wondering if that's something that we can go to for a side quest. Is there going to be reasons to explore and go areas? That excites me so much. This next area with Peach reminds me a lot of Shroom Ridge. We can see the Shy Guys in a car driving by with their giant pipes hanging out the back, which probably you can grind rail on in order to just like do tricks off of and stuff. But you can see it seems like the traffic is going to be interfering a lot with the gameplay. There's even some cars coming towards Peach with like giant boulders or haystacks on them that'll probably drop behind them or something. But this is truly free roam because you can see Peach just jump off the road and start driving into the grass. I'm just thinking of driving literally everywhere in this game. It sounds like a dream come true. I just really hope that there's challenges and maybe even story missions or something that we can actually do to keep us entertained, and you know, maybe places to look and find secrets in would be really, really great. We then go back to Wario and his turban again, and he's driving through this like Sahara desert with tons of camels walking towards him. There's also this airplane kind of flying above him, and it seems to be maybe dropping something. I can't quite tell. It looks like a parachute with something attached to it is headed for the ground. And it also looks like something's going on in the sand down there. I don't know if it's like sand cheeps jumping in and out of the sand, or almost looks like some type of tumbleweeds or bouncy balls, something rolling across the surface. But there's also a dry bones walking across, and I'm wondering why. I wonder if we have to get items and like hit enemies in order to get stuff. Also, how come we have not seen dry bones as a playable racer yet when we've seen literally everything else? When Wario gets to the top of the hill, at the bottom left we can see a little camp area with a little torch and some jars for some reason. Once again, I wonder if there's going to be reasons for that to be there and stuff for us to do when we drive over there. Here we have Yoshi doing a trick into the river where his motorcycle actually turns into a jet ski, and it's pretty quick. It's not a big transition, it just kind of appears real quick. But you can also see a Toad paddling down the river, which is pretty cool, and you can see a zip line or rail that goes up underneath the bridge. Dude, this is so awesome to be able to just drive around and find all types of crazy things, and I feel like we're going to be driving around this world for a very long time until we find all the secrets and, you know, cool areas that Nintendo has hidden for us. Here we have all the characters in kind of this open world grassland area, and they're just kind of driving with each other. It shows that you can drive with others online, which is really cool. You can meet up and just drive with each other, just mess around probably and play games. I could see that being a lot of fun, or maybe even like playing hide and seek and giving like hints, or maybe hide and seek in specific areas with your friends. Dude, this could be a blast. There's also a photo mode, which is awesome. With having an open world and driving anywhere and poses and stuff, you can take some awesome photos. It's going to be great for me as a content creator to make some awesome thumbnails with this. Alright, before finally wrapping up the trailer, we have a new look at Airship Fortress, which once again just looks so good. It's just a little bit different than the one we remembered, and Bowser Jr. is in this like toy plane vehicle, which is pretty cool. In the next scene, we see all these characters grinding on a rail on the tracks, including a blue Yoshi with this orange Yoshi's food restaurant vibe outfit, which is pretty cool. We didn't see that prehistoric track again, but Waluigi's wearing a biker outfit and jeans. Like, what? And Toad actually has a burger helmet at the bottom right. You can also see Mario wearing that oriental fighting outfit from Odyssey, and it actually matches the area that he's in, once again, where I think you can, you know, get different costumes depending on the regions. Both Mario and Luigi have the same type of costume on, and yeah, he actually strikes poses based on his costume striking fighting poses, which daggone it, this game is detailed. And of course, we have the characters fly into the background before getting the title screen of Mario Kart World. And you can see all the characters that we've already talked about within this title screen, with a lot still missing. There's none new that I can see so far, and I'm wondering how many new characters they're actually hiding in this game, which is crazy. Now, the website does give us a couple things to look at, like that fall theme track again, and for the most part, it's just the same stuff that we've seen, just the racers racing with each other, Mario bumping into people, so nothing really new there. We also have some new images, including some of the tracks and some that we didn't see, including a Bowser's Castle one with a giant like lava Bowser in the background. This next clip actually shows another new character, showing Monty Mole and Rocky Wrench together. Rocky Wrench is a separate character. As you can see, he has the shell and even a metal plate on his head like he pops out of in the games. We then get a short video of the new Bowser's Castle, and it reminds me a lot of Cloud Top Cruise from Mario Kart 8, where it has the thunder clouds that you're flying through and the lightning striking. Kind of a different approach for a Bowser's Castle. Also, as soon as Mario takes off here in this race, DK just dabs for some reason. Like I said before, there must be some type of taunt button. We can also see Mario driving along a beach with his Mario Sunshine outfit that actually is pulled straight from Super Mario Odyssey. We also get some more gameplay of the free roam, showing us just walking up and like talking to characters, not even talking, just emoting in front of them that are on the map. I really hope that there's reasons that we could do this. Like, what's the reason for free roam? I don't need one necessarily, like just driving around and having fun sounds like a blast, but I'm hoping that they actually have content for us to do in free roam. And also, last but not least, we have the character select screen, which shows that there's going to be 3 rows of 4 characters with 4 pages of characters, which gives us around 48 new characters. Which is crazy. That's a lot of characters. I don't even feel like dissecting everything that we know so far, so we're gonna have to go through each one on a separate video. That is everything that you missed in the brand new Mario Kart World trailer, and of course the website overview. There is just so much here. I am sure there's even some more small details that I'm missing, so if you guys found anything at all, big or small, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and thank you for watching this to the end. This is probably one of the longest analyses that I've ever had to do, so thank you so much. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to show your support. A lot of you watching are still not subscribed, so it'll help out so much for the channel. But thank you guys, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.